Hello and welcome to yet another special segment of Medically Speaking on monkeypox. Previously, we talked about the conventional topics about what is monkeypox, the history, and who is the high risk population. Now, we will further discuss in detail the unconventional and the newer facts about this zootonic virus with Dr. Dodal Model, oncologist from Max Hospital, Delhi. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Very good afternoon, and thank you so much, Vaishali, for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Sir, a new strain of monkeypox was recently discovered by NIV Pune, and this virus is likely following the course of COVID-19, I guess. Why do we need to worry about this new zootonic virus as such?
So, if we see about the nature or the way this virus spreads,
Mhm.
it has a lot of common things between with this ongoing pandemic or COVID-19. So both are basically highly contagious, and there are a lot of common ways of spreading. It can spread via contacts, direct touching, body fluids or materials touched by the infected person, or even by via respiratory route, or that means via respiration. So we have seen during COVID-19 pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, that COVID also spreads in a similar way. It spreads via respiration, it spreads via droplets, it spreads via by touching or coming in close contact with the infected person. And in a similar way, this monkeypox also spreads. So, of course, there is a matter of concern.
So, headlines have it that monkeypox spreads through intimate touch or fluid transfer, which also hints towards HIV, which is an STD. So, do we presume that monkeypox is also an STI or not?
That's a very good question. Basically, there are a lot of confusion, and many people are confused about this thing, whether this should be considered as a sexually transmitted disease or STD. Now, to be very precise, as of now, the scientists are not sure whether this should be stamped as STD or not. Now, classically, what do we mean by STD? So, STD or sexually transmissible disease or sexually transmitted disease are something which occurs exclusively by sexual contacts. Now, any disease which can happen by close contacts can also happen via sexual or during sexual intercourse, because during the process, two persons come very close to each other. There are a lot of close contacts, skin contacts, even mixing of body fluids, and this can definitely increase the risk of infection spreading from one person to another. Now, monkeypox can spread via many other means, not only about this, and it can spread even without sexual contact. So, as of now, it's not considered a classical sexually transmitted disease, and it's still yet not known whether the monkeypox virus can be present in semen or vaginal fluid. So these things are basically mandatory when we want to stamp some disease as STD. It has to be present in body fluids like semen or vaginal fluid. It's not yet known for monkeypox whether it's present or not. So scientists are all definitely working on it, and will be getting more insight on into this thing.
So now, also talking about the symptoms to notice, of course, it's very important in these days when it comes to pandemics. What are the symptoms to notice if one suspects monkeypox?
So again, this is a viral disease, and many symptoms are actually common to common viral illness or influenza. It begins with some prodromal symptoms, some like fatigue, body ache, and fever. One peculiar thing which usually doesn't happen with other viral prodromes or other viral infections, people do get lymph node enlargement or enlargement of glands. So that happens before the rash is manifested. So this is one symptom which is very typical to monkeypox. We call it lymphadenopathy. So lymphadenopathy is typical to this disease, which is usually not seen in other common viral infections. And symptoms, again, we know that pox, when we say pox, then we definitely expect skin lesions or skin rashes. So this rash can be like a flat elevated rash. It can turn into a vesicle. That means some fluid filled small lesions. And that can present over any part of the body. Mostly it can affect the face, it can affect the body, or it can even affect the genital area. So almost like 20 to 30% of the infected patients, they actually are showing presence of these typical rashes in their genital organs like penis or scrotum in men, even in the skin in and around the anus, and in women it can involve the vulva or vagina. So this is like a little bit atypical compared to other viral or common viral influenza. Another thing which can happen is involvement of eyes. So some patients are showing involvement of eyes, and that can lead to blindness as well. It can involve cornea. So if anyone is having some particular symptom related to eyes, they have to be very, very cautious and consult an eye specialist to be on the safer side.
So it manifests in different forms in different humans, depending upon what problems they have already been suffering through. So also that we have seen deaths in some cases, whilst in some cases people have recovered. So what is the severity scale, and how does one get cautious that this is the severity of the disease? If I am monkeypox positive, this is the rate of severity that I'm going to go through.
So, most of the monkeypox cases are self-limited. That means it heals on its own. Of course, it gives some permanent scar in the skin, or it can keep this permanent scar on the skin. But death is not usual in monkeypox. So, although we know that this is something like smallpox, but the fatality is not like that. So, it's a self-limiting, self-healing disorder which heals on its own, can leave some scar mark on the skin. There are certain population which can be under threat, like people who are immunocompromised, like someone undergoing some immunosuppression drug or having some severe infection in the body, which is compromising their immunity, and other comorbidities, other concurrent infections like tuberculosis, someone undergoing cancer treatment, someone undergoing some particular transplant like kidney transplant or liver transplant who are under heavy dose of immunosuppressing drugs. So their immunity is actually compromised, and these are the usually they are at high risk. These some specific group of people, they are at high risk. And another high risk population is pregnant women. It's seen that this virus can transmit via placenta to the fetus, and that can lead to stillborn babies. So this needs caution. It's not that anyone having monkeypox will die. So that fear should not be there. But of course, people have to follow some precautions, and people have to follow a lot of meticulous activities to contain the infection and stop spreading the infection.
You just mentioned about the precautions, and coming to the same point, uh, is there a cure or vaccine or the or prevention to monkeypox as such, or is the prevention any different than coronavirus, or will we be saved if we stick to the ongoing COVID protocols?
So, because both of them are viral infections, and there are many ways, common ways of spreading for both of them. So, of course, the specific measures to contain the infection or stop spreading the infection are almost same. People have to follow hand hygiene. People have to follow maintain distance. Should not come in close contact with a known or suspected monkeypox infected person. So these things become more important between close contacts, as we have seen during COVID pandemic. Also, the same set of guidelines we used to tell that follow hand hygiene, follow distancing, do not come close contact with the suspected person. So similar things are definitely applicable for monkeypox as well. Now, let me be very specifically telling few facts like because we have been seeing that close contacts are at risk, and this monkeypox can that can spread over a long period of time. So once someone is infected, it can take 3 to 4 weeks to heal, and until and unless the scab is completely falling down, the skin is being replaced by a new layer of skin, the person can remain infected to others. So it can take like 4 to 6 weeks for a new layer of skin to come. That means that is up to 4 weeks or so, a person can remain infected. So that for a long period of time, someone has to be isolated, has to remain at a distance from the close contacts, should avoid activities which needs close contact, like sometimes like we are discussing about sexual intimacy. So there are a lot of guidelines regarding that, and CDC or the American societies, they have very specifically laid down such guidelines what to do if someone is unable to avoid those things. Then what are the ways they should maintain the precaution, like covering the skin, avoiding touching the common objects which the couple usually uses together, avoiding touching the body fluids, avoiding kissing, like that. So those are specific things that couple should follow, and they should try to maintain as much as possible distance in the home or in the households. So isolation is important, hand hygiene is important, wearing mask is important, just as we have seen during COVID pandemic. And CDC has actually, on ICMR also, our country's own guideline, that has mandated that person infected with monkeypox should wear triple layer mask. So we have seen that in COVID, it was like either N95 or double layer. Now for monkeypox, it's like triple layer mask. So because it can spread by respiratory route.
This is a
So
new
these
thing
things
that
are
we
very
have
important.
recently been converted with, that now we have to wear a triple
Yes.
mask if we are infected with
So like to summarize, it's like maintaining distance, keeping isolation, wearing mask, maintaining hand hygiene, and avoiding close contacts. So these are like basic to contain
basic
the
of that
spread of infection.
rules that everything boils down to. Also, so just talking about what if one gets monkeypox, one should wear triple layer mask. If in case, for example, if I am infected with monkeypox and I suspect it, what are the next steps that I should really take? Like if right now I come to know that I have monkeypox, now what are the steps that I should take within the next few hours, and when do I consult a doctor? Should I isolate myself or immediately rush to a doctor?
So first of all, it's very difficult for an individual to definitely confirm whether they have monkeypox or not. They can suspect. Like someone can have fever, someone can have skin rash, and that can be present in many other viral infections. So first of all, if someone is having a history of coming in contact with a known monkeypox or exposed person, or someone being exposed to a person who recently traveled monkeypox endemic areas, so, and then they develop fever with rash, they have to seek proper help from healthcare facility. It's always good to avoid self-diagnosis, and particularly for matters which are of great public concern, like infective illness. So they have to take help from healthcare facilities, and the sample for proper diagnosis actually reaches the virology lab, where they do very sophisticated testing to diagnose the viral DNA actually. So it's not possible for a common person to diagnose whether it is actually monkeypox or what. But they have to seek healthcare facilities. And it's always good that whenever they're suspecting and they're going out, they maintain all these precautions, wearing mask, avoiding touching objects, avoiding touching here and there, and take proper help from healthcare facilities.
So just last question, that we have seen several cases where people who haven't been to any foreign country test positive for monkeypox. How are these people with no travel history getting infected?
Yeah, so that's a very tricky question. And so first of all, what I would like to answer this way that whether or not someone is having monkeypox, that needs a proper diagnosis. Anyone having fever and rash does not mean that it's monkeypox, but of course, the alarm should be raised and it should come to the notification of the health department. Now, someone may not be traveling to a monkeypox endemic region, but he might be exposed to other persons who probably have traveled to these regions, or who might have been exposed to a monkeypox infected person. So if, say for example, Mr. X came in contact with Mr. Y, Mr. Y might have monkeypox, or maybe in that incubation period where he doesn't show the symptoms. So Mr. X gets close to Mr. Y and Mr. X got the infection. Mr. Y can be traveling to endemic region, so that history we don't know. So whenever we are suspecting that detailed history of contacts, and again then contact tracing, who traveled where, whether they were being exposed to other people having history of monkeypox or not. So those things becomes important. And as of now, if we see in India, we have seen hardly 8 or 9 cases. So number of cases are not big or not great. So there is no need to panic, and no need to self-diagnose that I am having fever or rash. That means that I am having monkeypox. It just might be a misdiagnosis.
Now, the last question, sir, before I let you go. Is there any specific message regarding this new zootonic virus that we are currently facing in the world, the new problems that are surfacing amid the currently ongoing pandemic, COVID pandemic? Is there any message that you would like to give through our platform?
Yes, so it's like uh, we are just finishing one infection to get another one. It's a very tough time, and both of these infections they're very contagious. They can spread very easily from one person to another. Thankfully, as of now, it does not look a great problem or big problem in our country. Although worldwide it has involved multiple countries, almost 82 countries are now involved with this monkeypox. Almost 29,000 cases have been confirmed so far. And many of these cases are actually the first time. I mean, that means those countries have never seen this infection earlier. So earlier it used to be confined to Central and West African countries. Now, there are many countries in the world who are for the first time seeing this infection, and many of them do not know how to tackle this infection. Thankfully, as of now, we do not see huge number of cases, 8 or 9 confirmed cases so far. So there is definitely a great hope, and a lot of people are working on this. The task force have been formed by the government. Serum Institute of India has been working on the possible vaccine, and probably they will come up with a vaccine with this. So there is definitely a hope that even if someone is infected or suspected, there will be some preventive measures which will be effective. Treatments are definitely available, but not specifically for monkeypox. Vaccines are available, but not specifically for monkeypox, but probably they will work. So, and of course, this disease is not highly fatal like initial 1 or 2 episodes of COVID. So people can get the infection. It may not be life-threatening. It's usually self-limiting, and uh, the vaccine or treatment will probably be available soon. So of course there is hope, and there is no need to panic. People need to follow some basic precautions, and that probably will be sufficient to control the disease.
On that note, I would like to end this really informative conversation and thank you, sir, for taking out time to help the viewers get a little more aware. And also, thank you all for watching. And for more such informative videos, please do subscribe to
Thank you.
Medically Speaking, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Co. And visit our website www.medicallyspeaking.in. Thank you so much for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.